Man, that's looking pretty good, if I must say so myself. Okay, it's time for some foam down here, and then I'm going to show you my little rocks down here underneath. I'm going to go back into some of this purple color, purpley blue color, which was the shaded watercolor that I had before. I'm going to load the brush up, but then I like to wipe it off so that it's not quite so loaded. I haven't found a way yet just to load it and get the right amount on it. It always works better to just load it up and then literally wipe some off, because I can control how much paint is on the brush with the rag easier, and I can tell by the feel of it. Down here I want some rolling foam, so I'm just kind of using the corner. I'm using the corner of the fan brush, but another good one to use would be the filbert brush, or you can actually use the pointed round, because you're doing more of a stirring motion than anything. I'm going to put this foam on, let it become part of the water underneath it. This is all water, so let it just kind of join into that water that we put in the pool earlier, which means I'm just kind of softening the bottom edge of that out so they mingle together. It's all water, some of it's laying flat and some of it's boiling up, but they need to be connected, so just let it all kind of mush together in there. I'm going to go a little higher. If that waterfall is that high, I'm probably going to have a little bit of splash way up into here, even a little taller. That's going to be quite a force. And a lot of times if you have a bigger waterfall like that with a lot of force behind it, once it gets to a certain point, gravity takes over where that starts falling a certain speed, and the wind and the air resistance against it kind of makes it aerate and explode. I'm going to take some of this same bluish color. I'll put just a little bit of white in it to get it to show up a little better for you. But a lot of times I like to do this, especially if it makes sense. You have to look at your waterfall and say what makes sense. So see, I've got this smacked open, pounced open. And right in here, if I put a little bit of this action vertically going up, it looks like the water is kind of blowing apart. Like I said, as it comes down, the air overtakes it, and it'll explode that into little droplets and just break it up. It aerates. So sometimes I like to put that in. It gives it a little more feeling of movement. It wouldn't be as much up here. It hasn't picked up enough speed. So you look at it logically, and you just kind of randomly put it in there like that. See how much more movement that gives that? Makes it really look like it's rushing. And speaking of movement, I'm going to wipe this off, wipe the excess off the brush, and I'll rinse it out. And if I take a little bit of white, and I'm going to really thin this down with some of my paint thinner in my pail here. I'm going to spatter, which means I need to get the paint loose enough. If you can look right down here on my palette real tight, what the idea is to take it and just release the bristles and let them snap and get that spray. I use this technique a lot for stars in a night sky, splash on an ocean wave, little flowers in a meadow, gravel on a road. Right here where that is going to splash and hit, I like to really let it spray. You have to be careful with this. If you get it too thin, it just makes a general mess all over the place. So you'd want to check it on your palette first. And here's the rule of thumb. If it's really, really big dots, your paint is a little bit too thin. If it's real tiny little pinpricks and hardly comes off your brush at all, it's a little too thick. So anywhere where you get these where you don't want them, I've just wiped the brush off, because it's not an exact science. They're going to kind of, I've gotten pretty good at controlling it over the years, but still, you get a few stray dots where you don't want them. So I just kind of blend those out of there. And down here in the foreground, I'm going to take white, and I'm going to pounce the brush again open with thicker paint this time again. And I'm going to say there's a few little white caps boiling down here as it's coming away from that. There's going to be a lot of activity here, but as it comes farther away, it's going to calm down some. So I just let it kind of subside. Notice I'm putting these in horizontally. The water's going to lay flat and horizontal, so don't put them in any old which way or diagonally, anything like that. Just gives you a little sense of some action there. And here's what I've really been waiting to show you. I'm going to go in with my number 6 round brush. And I'm going to go back with something a little lighter than my sand color. I just happen to have something here on my palette right here. I think it was my rock color up here. A lot of times I just incorporate colors I've already used rather than take something totally foreign and stick it on there. I use colors throughout so they match. I'm going to take white, and even though this is a round brush, if I get enough paint on it, it flattens out like this. And I'm going to come in and just make some little hump shapes like rocks. Now the key is, so you're going to have to give me a minute to put them all in here, but the key is once I get these in here, if I blend over them very lightly and smear them out of focus just a little bit, it looks just like they're underwater. So I can make it look like this water is coming into shore, into the shallows, and these rocks are beneath the surface. It's a really neat technique to know, because people will look at this and they scratch their head and they say, my goodness, how did you do that? It's actually very simple. I've learned a lot of techniques over the years from other artists, countless artists, a lot of them. But I've also learned a lot of things along the way that just by trial and error on my own, and everything I do is just a culmination of all of the above. And when you start to paint, you're going to learn favorite ways of doing this or that and your own little tricks, and you will have your own style. Everybody always says, well, how do I get a painting style? Your style will find you. You don't have to find it. Now see, as this goes further out, I'm letting the brush run out of paint. They're a little fainter. They're not nearly as pronounced, and I want them to look a little softer, like they're more underwater. I still haven't blended this yet. Remember I told you the magic was in the blending. Watch this. I'm going to take my 1-inch mop brush. It's a very soft, excellent blender brush. I don't want to come in and get too heavy-handed and smear it too much. But if I come in and just whisk over it just enough to kind of make it blurry, notice how it looks like the rocks went right underneath the water. Glug, glug, glug. There they go. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, one other thing. I'm going to come back with my fan brush and into this blue water color that I had way back when that I put in the little pool. Same color. I got a little bit here on the palette. I don't need much, so I got enough there to go around. I'm just going to mat this together, and over the rocks, I'm going to put a little bit of this bluish tone so it kind of gives you even more of the feeling that the rocks are submerged. I'm putting a surface over the top of the rocks. Just like that. All right. Now, don't you think you can do that? This isn't all that difficult. It takes a little practice. Watch this DVD. Get some of the products. These are made for this specific approach. The thick paints, the specialty brushes, it's all designed for this. And I got faith in you. I know you can do it, but give it some practice. I'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in.